This week's been extra chaotic, and you've been deprived of a true news dump for a little while now. So let's just release the onslaught of absurdity, starting with the news that the administration has already fired its first top official for gross incompetence. Or the more likely reason, which is that former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz exposed his own relationship with the press through that incompetence.
Yeah.
Now, we know it's hard to remember more than just a few days ago, but Mike Waltz was the guy who accidentally invited a journalist from The Atlantic into an encrypted group chat where he and other officials like Pete Hegseth and also the vice president openly discussed military strikes in Yemen.
Boom. American flag. Eagle.
Not to be confused, of course, with the second simultaneous group chat that Hegseth was conducting with his wife, brother, and lawyer, where he also openly discussed those war plans.
He had a lot of chats going. Well, it was announced on Thursday that Mike Waltz was removed from his position as National Security Advisor, which might sound odd because earlier this week, Trump doubled down on Pete Hegseth. And Hegseth was arguably the most irresponsible person in at least 2 group chats. The issue is that Waltz exposed the very existence of the Signal chat and the fact that government officials were using an encrypted chat service to discuss details about military strikes, because he's the one that accidentally added a journalist. That wasn't the only journalist that Waltz was in direct contact with, though, because Waltz is a boomer who, like other government officials, left all of his connected accounts public, specifically his Venmo account, where people could see his entire friends list, which, as Wired reported at the time, included journalists, military officers, lobbyists, and others. Information a foreign intelligence service or other actors could exploit for any number of ends, experts say.
So, Mike Waltz is down, but hold on, he is not out yet.
Oh.
Because, you see, this wasn't a firing, Elliot. Come on.
Yeah, they didn't tell him to put all of his stuff in a... Well, they did tell him to put his stuff in a box, but they didn't tell him to leave.
Yeah.
They tell him to move down to the office, down the hall.
Because
the smaller one.
a firing would look bad on the administration. No, this was a promotion to the position of United Nations Ambassador. Bye-bye. Pack your shit. Sounds glamorous to me. And actually, Trump did kill 2 birds with 1 stone on this one because the job was originally supposed to go to Elise Stefanik. And he didn't do that because that would have fucked up their majority in the House.
Yeah.
So it did become an open position that was just perfect for Mike Waltz.
God closes the door.
He opens the window, and hopefully no one jumps out of it.
He opens a group chat.
Anyways, Mike Waltz, of course, sounded very thrilled to be on the receiving end of this news, putting out the most deadpan public statement possible on X, the Everything app. I'm deeply honored to continue my service to President Trump and our great nation.
Yeah, you sound really happy about it.
In the meantime, though, hey, little Marco, he got a lot more added onto his plate. Marco Rubio just took on a hell of a lot more responsibility because he is now the acting National Security Advisor, while also maintaining his role as Secretary of State.
Isn't he also running like ATF or something else too?
But look, this alone, National Security Advisor and Secretary of State simultaneously, it is very rare. And would you believe, Elliot, that this is the first time it's happened since... Let's see here. Oh, Henry Kissinger, back in the Nixon administration.
One of the greats. Haven't looked at what he actually did, the specifics of it, but he's highly regarded.
Must have been doing a bang-up job to nail both of those positions during the pinnacle of American presidency.
Yeah, I'm assuming whatever he did while in that job was marvelous and something America should be very proud of.
Exactly.
So while this shuffle isn't exactly good in terms of the traditional sense, we do actually have some good news for you today, because a federal judge just ruled that Trump did, in fact, unlawfully invoke the Alien Enemies Act, which is what this administration has been using to rapidly disappear people to El Salvador, simply by saying that they belong to some violent gang. A gang that we're, I guess, at war with. We've declared war on a gang.
Yeah, and everyone knew that was bullshit, and finally a federal judge was like, yeah, no, that was complete bullshit.
So we should point out that despite taking this as a win, it does not stop the administration from their mission entirely, but it's at least nice to see someone in a position of authority put their neck on the line by simply interpreting the law as it's meant to be. And this wasn't some liberal, woke, non-binary
Judge,
white guilt judge. This was a Trump appointee, and he looked at the invocation of this act from 1798, agreed that it had no basis in reality, and blocked the administration from using it. Here's CNN with more.
U.S. District Judge Fernando Rodriguez of the Southern District of Texas said Trump had unlawfully invoked the sweeping 18th century wartime authority to speed up some deportations. His decision means Trump cannot rely on the law to detain or deport any alleged members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua within his district. The ruling is a significant blow to Trump's decision in March to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, which has faced numerous legal challenges and has been halted by several courts. But Rodriguez's ruling is the first to conclude that the president exceeded his authority by relying on a law that was intended to be used during times when the U.S. is at war. Quote, "The president cannot summarily declare that a foreign nation or government has threatened or perpetrated an invasion or predatory incursion of the United States, followed by the identification of the alien enemies subject to detention or removal," the judge wrote. The administration is likely to appeal Rodriguez's ruling to the conservative 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, and it's possible the case could eventually land before the Supreme Court. But it's one step in the right direction amidst a sea of bad bullshit.
Yeah.
And these cases are on the desks of other federal judges, and you would hope that, showing at least some bravery here might inspire other judges to do the same.
You'd hope.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears now to something we've been referencing all week. So we figured, why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we all suffer together while reading from some frustratingly stupid posts over on a subreddit dedicated entirely to Temu fanatics who just realized, just now, that their favorite store and items suddenly became a hell of a lot more expensive, seemingly overnight.
Wait, what happened? I haven't been following the news.
What?
I get all the news from my grandson. He gets it from the computer.
Now, obviously, this is a result of Trump's tariffs. But judging by this week's posts over on r/Temu Things, many members of the general public are just blissfully unaware of the world around them. And I am so jealous.
Yeah, what a life.
Now, we'll just give you the creme de la creme from this week. The post that went viral and brought a lot of attention to an otherwise small forum. And a perfect example of the type of reaction you should expect from your average American in the coming weeks as these tariffs slowly but surely work their way into everyone's budgets.
Yeah. Holy, what just happened? Heartbroken emoji. I was literally going to make my order and I see this. And it's, of course, an image of the charges. Subtotal, $138.97. Shipping, $12. Import charges, $117.64. For a grand total of $269.54. Nearly double because of Trump's tariffs. But for this person and many others on the subreddit, this seemed to be the first time that they had ever even heard of these pesky tariffs.
Must be a glitch. Get me Mr. Temu.
And this, of course, led to a deluge of angry comments on nearly every post. And, of course, some very cheeky images from our neighbors to the north, those Canadians, who are showing off their orders without the fees just to rub it in.
As is tradition.
Yeah, and now other users reported that items in their carts that they had before this all went into effect were suddenly disappearing. Because the items coming directly from China, they were apparently no longer available. Temu's just like, all right, well, I guess we're going to pull all the options. And then, of course, there was also, I didn't even think of this initially, but one person pointed out how bad this is for him specifically as a resident of Puerto Rico.
Ooh, yeah, because they're already kind of screwed over by international shipping quite a bit.
And they, unfortunately, don't receive a lot of the benefits that mainland United States citizens do. Obviously, this has been a huge point of contention. But, yeah, residents of Puerto Rico are already getting hit with also getting hit with these tariffs in addition to the other shipping costs. Now, CNBC covered the Temu saga this week, and a lot of it was just giving examples of price increases. But there was one quote from a consumer that really sums things up quite nicely. Mackenzie Morris, a Temu customer who lives in southeastern Missouri, buys yoga supplies, clothing, and a variety of other products from the site a couple of times a month.
How many yoga supplies do you need, lady?
But she expects to shop elsewhere now that Temu items are more expensive. Quote, "There's no point in paying a 140% upcharge when I can get the same thing on Amazon for the same price, and usually get it a little faster," Morris said.
Oh.
You sweet summer child.
You might want to sit down for this.
Yeah, we got bad news for you, lady.
I don't think you understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
Once the prices and shortages hit places like Amazon, Walmart, and Target, people are going to start panic buying. They're going to start stocking up. which is going to exacerbate things and probably put us right back to where things were during COVID, the peak of COVID, with empty shelves and a recession and nothing to wipe your ass with.
If you can even afford what goes up at the time.
I was wiping my ass with trash.
No, but this...
No, I had a bidet back then. This pretty great.
This woman in particular, it is kind of an encapsulation of the American mindset, which is, well, I'll vote with my dollar then. Yeah. I guess I won't give money to this company. And it's like,
I guess I'll buy my American-made yoga supplies.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I should have been paying American prices a long time ago. I'm going to go pay next to nothing for this over on Amazon, who clearly doesn't get all of their stuff from China as well.
I mean, it's like the knickknacks is where we're going to feel it the hardest. Because, like, we stopped making knickknacks in this country quite a long time
We stopped making everything here.
We stopped making everything, but particularly the little knickknacks.
Your little treats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff we do make here is usually, I mean, we're still assembling it, so everything's going to be affected. But, like, specifically just like a yoga mat or a yoga block. Yeah. Like, basic fucking shit. We don't make that here. And we haven't made that here for a long time. Maybe we never made it here.
Now, it seemed as though up until this point, aside from the eggs, there wasn't so much panic buying. But now with empty shipping containers and truckers reporting that they're just not getting any work, things might get a little more intense and people might start hoarding again.
Yeah, and it looks like the hoarding is already starting to begin. Big surprise there. With Trump administration officials stockpiling items like toilet paper before tariff prices really kick in. Oh, okay. So it's the calls coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine. I'm stockpiling toilet paper because I poop so much. I'm just always
You should
pooping.
see it's nothing but fiber. All I eat is fiber.
But you won't need it unless you have the same high fiber diet as me, because I poop a lot.
I got Metamucil on subscribe and save.
Always pooping.
Yeah.
So that's why I need all this toilet paper. Yeah, this sends a message to the public, obviously, that maybe they should be doing the same.
Which is not great.
Here's Rolling Stone with more on this aspect of Trump's trade war.
2 Trump administration officials and a Trump aide tell Rolling Stone that they've done some stockpiling of their own in recent weeks or months, and that they know others working in Republican politics, inside and outside of the administration, who are doing the same. One of the Trump officials says they have already run to Target to bulk buy toilet paper, some types of food, and other household supplies. When asked why they're doing this, the Trump aide, who says they and their partner have done similar household supply hoarding lately and are also stashing cash reserves in their D.C. area home, simply replied, "Because it would be stupid not to." Okay. The aide adds that they still believe in Trump's tariffs regime, though citing the supposed advantage of short-term pain in exchange for long-term prosperity.
No. What's short-term about it?
No, this is going... Just 2 decades, and then everything will be fine.
How is onshoring the manufacture of all basic goods a short-term thing in any fucking way? Like, even in China, where they have centralized economic control, and the government can be like, we're building a factory here, we're building a factory over here. It still takes years to get this shit up and running. What the fuck are you smoking? God.
Well, in Trump's brain, he just thinks that for whatever reason, the other countries, and certainly not the American citizen, is just going to fork over billions of dollars to work with the United States, when meanwhile, countries are just reaching out to each other behind the scenes to subvert us.
It's very similar to like Brexit, honestly. This is kind of our Brexit, where in both cases
we are isolating ourselves.
Yeah, well, like with Brexit, the fatal flaw of Brexit was that British people still thought of themselves as the great British Empire of the early 20th century, and not the hollowed out husk of the United Kingdom in the early 21st century. And they got a little too full of themselves. They're like, everyone needs us around, and everyone's like, actually not really.
And no, you can't come back either.
And it's the same thing here. Like, America, I mean, we're still like pretty much the top dog, but also like not nearly as much as we were.
And we're isolating ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyways, speaking of recession indicators, it looks like people's discretionary spending is already falling off a cliff. And don't take our word for it. Listen to the sex workers.
Yeah.
They have an up-close and personal look at how people are spending their money.
They're the canaries in the coal mine.
Yeah. And it looks like there's a whole lot less to go around already. Now, this isn't a new phenomenon by any stretch.
They're throwing quarters at us.
There is something known as the stripper index.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
It was a big thing in the 2008 crisis.
Yeah. But for an up-to-date look at how the economy is going right now, HuffPost spoke to a dancer and influencer named Vulgar Vanity about her experience lately. So here's some of that. Vanity said that when she first started dancing in 2022, and that's important to point out because this is not like things were better during like the first Trump term or things were bad under Biden or something like that.
It up.
Yeah. In 2022, she could earn 6 figures just by dancing during a handful of big events in Austin, such as the Formula One Grand Prix and South by Southwest Music Festival. This year is different. Quote, I didn't even bother working South by Southwest because the first Friday night I'd attempted to work, I walked into a completely empty club and didn't make any money at all, she said.
Vanity also says that many of her regular customers aren't tipping at all or tipping less than half of what they used to. She is quick to point out that she is just one dancer and obviously not an economist. But she notes that other dancers and tipped workers are also hurting. Her theory is that her customers are no longer tipping as generously because of rising costs and economic uncertainty. Strippers are often the first ones to notice a downturn in the economy. Dancers are obviously not a priority or household necessity and are the first to feel it because we're the first ones tossed aside, Vanity said. The stripper index is one of those odd but oddly effective indicators of economic health, said David Kindness, a certified public accountant and finance expert. It tracks how much strippers are earning and how often customers are going to strip clubs, he explained. When tips slow down and foot traffic thins out, it often means people are holding on to their extra cash, Kindness explained. According to Lokenauth, Vanity isn't the only dancer feeling the squeeze, and that's not a good sign. Strip club revenue in Vegas is down about 12%, which could indicate we are headed for a recession, Lokenauth said.
And Vegas is a pretty good example if you're looking for a test case for the economy, because that is going to be the first place to really start feeling the squeeze.
And they're the U.S. capital of expendable income.
Yes, and they're also fighting an uphill battle because of online gambling. So,
and they've been building a lot.
Yeah, they've been expanding. And also, even as someone who used to go to Vegas, even after I stopped drinking, no interest anymore. You can't even play like table games for less than like a $30 minimum buy-in. I used to be able to go play blackjack for like $5 a bet.
Yeah.
No.
That was my shit. I would sit down, I'd play $5 blackjack for like 2 or 3 hours, get some free drinks, and I'd probably break even or lose money, but it was like at least time well spent. And now it's like minimum bet is like $20 at any legit casino. It's like, I'm not fucking doing that shit.
You used to be able to go to Vegas like on a whim and be like, I don't know, go there for the night, have some fun. And then now it's like, I can't even imagine coming from anywhere else in the country, but even from LA, it's like you would assume at least $1,000 just for like 2 nights in Vegas between rooms and transportation and food. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
No thanks. No thanks.
Well, good luck to them, I guess.
Anyways, remember when I said on the last episode that I hadn't had the pleasure of seeing Elon Musk's big, stupid face for a couple of days and just how nice that was? Well, it turns out Elon had plenty of cringe left in the tank, and he was indeed present at a Trump cabinet meeting the day we recorded the previous video, bobbing around like a hyperactive toddler and forcing everyone to acknowledge his prop comedy jokes as he exits his front-facing role as head of Doge. Now, on top of his usual black hat, this time a Doge hat, he put on a bright red hat that simply stated, Gulf of America.
Does that trigger you, Lib?
I bet you're real triggered now, Lib. Do you get it? It's really no deeper than Elon making a joke about wearing multiple hats.
Oh, he got us again. First, the sink.
Yeah.
He let that sink in. And now multiple hats? Literally multiple hats?
Here, look at this. It's almost unwatchable.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. And as you can see, it's true. Even my hat has a hat.
And yeah, if you thought that was the cringiest thing that he'd done all week, well, don't worry. He also gave himself a cute little police badge with a funny little number on it. His favorite funny little number. He's the Doge detective or whatever. We're just going to read from the Daily Beast.
Doge dick.
Yeah. They sum it up very, very nicely.
Elon Musk has embarrassed himself with yet another lame late-night stunt. He showed off his latest new toy on X, a fake police badge proclaiming himself the Doge Father. Knock, knock, it's Doge, the world's richest man tweeted while brandishing the replica badge, which is estimated to have cost around $100 and is also inscribed with the number 69420. For those who can't keep up with Musk's famous quick wit and comedic chops, 69 is a reference to the sexual position. Funny. And 420 is, of course, the weed number. Even funnier.
But enough cringe. I feel like my life force has been drained by just casually viewing things that Elon Musk thinks are funny. So we need to recharge, and luckily, this episode is sponsored by Huel. If you're constantly on the move or just tired of skipping meals, Huel, spelled Huel, has you covered. Their Black Edition ready-to-drink is a total game changer. It is a complete meal in one bottle with 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, and low sugar. And that's so you feel full, focused, and ready for your day. There is no prep, no cleanup, just grab it and go. Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use our code NEWSDUMP. So don't miss out and try it today.
It's no secret that our news diet is downright unhealthy, but thankfully that doesn't mean our actual diet has to be. When we're up early writing the show or late editing it, it's easy to forget to eat, and that used to mean eating a bunch of unhealthy garbage. But thanks to Huel, we can do our jobs full, energized, and focused without spending any time even thinking about what we're going to put in our little bellies. It's a perfectly balanced meal that saves time and effort so we can focus on what really matters. Reporting the news, which we will never, ever apologize for. Designed by experts to provide all the nutrients your body needs from a meal, Huel takes the guesswork and time out of healthy eating. No prep, no cooking. They taste so good. Huel shakes actually taste like a milkshake, and they come in a delicious array of flavors like chocolate or vanilla. Bonus is they're low in sugar.
Yeah, lastly, Huel is incredibly affordable. With high protein meals, less than $5, it is a budget-friendly option that we are genuinely excited about. Our personal favorite, of course, the Black Edition ready to drink. It's got a whopping 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and mineral, all in one handy bottle. So start saving time and money today without compromising your nutrition with this exclusive offer for new customers of 15% off plus a free gift using our code NEWSDUMP at Huel.com. That is 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using our exclusive code NEWSDUMP at Huel.com. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled.
Okay, back to the news now. And in case you were wondering how RFK Jr. is handling, the measles outbreak during his role as America's doctor, we would say, not great.
Not great.
And things have the potential to get a whole lot worse because apparently someone with measles went to a Texas Rangers baseball game, potentially exposing the extremely contagious disease to thousands of people. Luckily for now, there's at least some contact tracing going on. But now that this news is out there and with the administration's track record so far, we would assume that these kinds of reports will become less and less frequent, regardless of whether or not the disease continues to infect people, which it seems to be doing very, very. It's a great disease. It's really
in terms of infection, ability to infect.
By disease standards, it's doing a fantastic job.
One of the best.
And yeah, if you're like everyone else and you can't remember 4 years ago, or I guess 6 years ago, 5 years ago, anyway. Trump was like, stop contact tracing COVID. We're testing too much. You're scaring everyone by accurately measuring the spread of this disease.
A woman in Florida got hassled pretty severely with criminal charges for operating a website that kept the stats active.
Yeah, she turned out to be kind of a lunatic.
Yes.
But I don't know.
Still.
They were pretty actively being like, stop! Stop posting the statistics.
No news is good news.
Anyway, here's local outlet ABC 8 with more.
Another North Texas county became the latest to report its first case of measles. Today's case is further evidence that measles cases are on the rise, and the Dallas-Fort Worth area is no exception, said Dr. Matt Richardson, Denton County's Director of Public Health. According to Denton County health officials, the person went to several places after exposure. Most notably, they attended the April 19th Texas Rangers game against the Los Angeles Dodgers at Globe Life Field in Arlington, officials said. 39,244 people attended that game.
And let's not forget the players. What if Shohei Ohtani gets measles?
He seems to be doing fine now, but yeah, could you imagine? Could you imagine one of these titans, one of these heroes, coming down with a completely preventable disease?
Terrible.
No, the outlet then provided a detailed list of everywhere that the infected individual went over the course of just 3 days, including multiple restaurants, donut shops, the Rangers game, Walmart, the grocery store, and church. So
Oh, the Lord will protect him.
Great. Once again, good luck to the people of Texas, except for the people who are willingly putting themselves and others in harm's way for strictly political purposes. Like that fucking father of the child who died, who was like, not so bad, half the kids survived.
I got plenty of other kids.
We're making more as we speak.
Yeah, that's why you have a lot of kids.
Some are going to die.
In case one of them dies of a preventable illness.
Uh-huh.
You got backups.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a story in a second that just encapsulates so much of our experience with the consolidation of digital media and Web 2.0 titans. But that's a little more inside baseball than some people might like. So instead, we're going to cover a ridiculous story about a dragon lawyer first.
Ooh.
A human lawyer, not a dragon, from Michigan, got into a little bit of trouble with a local judge after he submitted a lawsuit which included a large image of a dragon wearing a suit on each and every page of his filing.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he did it as a way to show that he fights for his clients with the spirit of a dragon or something. But the judge didn't think it was funny or cool at all and threw out the lawsuit, demanding that he resubmit it with the ridiculous dragon lawyer removed from all the pages.
If it gets worse, though, first of all, the logo itself definitely looks like it could be AI generated. The lawyer did say that he paid for this creation, but he didn't really elaborate, and he said it was $20. So, look, honestly, for $20, either he got it from an AI generator or someone was like, give me that $20 and just typed it into the thing. Either way, the dragon lawyer got the real lawyer's lawsuit rejected. And it seemed as though it was a pretty serious case. One that should probably have been handled in a timely and very professional manner. Not rejected because there's a purple dragon wearing a suit on every page of the otherwise serious file.
Imagine explaining this to your client.
Okay.
Wait, why was it rejected?
We've got a little bit of a setback.
Remember how I told you how I fight for you with
Like a dragon.
I breathe fire in that courtroom. I'm spitting fire. I'm protecting all the gold.
The judge didn't like the dragon.
Turns out, not only did he not like it, it threw out the case.
The dragon has thrown a real wrench in this case right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Here's the New York Times with more. A purple dragon dressed in a business suit seemed like a natural choice for a logo when Jacob Peroni, a lawyer in East Lansing, Michigan, recently opened a new firm and named it Dragon Lawyers. He noted that some lawyers like to call themselves bulldogs and said that the dragon symbolized aggressive representation. But a federal magistrate judge, Ray Kent, was not impressed. He was so disgusted by the dragon that he struck a lawsuit filed by Mr. Peroni on behalf of an inmate who had accused jail officials in Clinton County, Michigan, of being deliberately indifferent to her when she started vomiting last year.
In a brief order issued on Monday, Judge Kent noted that each page of plaintiff's complaint appears on an e-filing which is dominated by a large, multicolored cartoon dragon dressed in a suit, presumably because she is represented by the law firm of Dragon Lawyers PC, award-winning lawyers. Use of this dragon cartoon logo is not only distracting, it is juvenile and impertinent, Judge Kent wrote. The court is not a cartoon. I'm not a cartoon, damn it.
You're quite literally making a mockery of that courtroom.
This court is not a cartoon.
I would have paid a good amount of money to see the initial reaction as soon as they opened the paperwork.
Judge Kent gave the woman, who was identified only as Jane Doe No. 2, until May 5th to refile her lawsuit without the cartoon dragon. He also ordered her not to file any other documents with the cartoon dragon or other inappropriate content. Mr. Perone, the lawyer, said in an interview on Tuesday that he planned to comply and would remove the dragon, which had appeared as a watermark on all 12 pages of the complaint. I regret putting it on the pleadings so prominently displayed.
So prominent.
No, what, is he going to make it smaller?
Judge, I fixed it, and I think you'll find this far more tasteful. It's just on the letterhead.
My God.
Oh, my God.
It's not about the size, but... But Mr. Peroni, 43, also defended his use of the mythical beast as a way to market his firm. He said that he bought the image of the dragon in a suit for about $20 online. People like dragons, he said. Adding, the whole Game of Thrones era is how I initially came up with the concept. I mean, yeah, people like dragons, I guess.
It's so funny because the Game of Thrones era is technically so long ago.
Well,
at least at its peak.
They got the House of the Dragon now, which is even more dragon focused. Yeah. I think. I've never watched it.
But at its peak, it is a funny excuse, though. Judge, we've all heard of Game of Thrones, right? Just giving you some basic context for my fierce law firm, which is very serious, by the way, and demands to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I'm gonna resubmit it without the dragons, but I'm gonna attach a DVD box set of Game of Thrones just so we're on the same page.
It's time for you to sit and learn.
Yeah.
What
Sit your white ass down and listen.
The one brilliant thing I could see with this is, and I don't think he went into this with that intention, but it would be funny if this was somewhat similar to when they would put that duck in old 8-bit video games, where they would go through the process and be like, everything's fine, just get rid of the duck. So now if this comes back with no dragon lawyer on it, and the judge is just like, okay, you followed the protocols, I'm just going to push this through.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Like intentionally doing something like
distracting and juvenile.
Yeah, wrong. So that the second draft gets like automatically waved on through.
It's kind of like buttering up the judge. Like, you know what, Your Honor, you were right. I was acting like a child.
It's a classic studio notes strategy in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's just it's like the duck in video games.
Yeah, when you don't want interference from the suits, you give them something they can take credit for getting rid of.
Yeah, and we kind of got fired for that, which kind of leads into the next story. Not that it was directly because of that, but like a month before we got, they discontinued the show back on Machinima. They were like, hey, Justice League's coming out. You guys covered movie news and stuff. Well, what about a rundown? Or Suicide Squad. Yeah. What about a rundown about all the Justice League stuff leading into Suicide Squad or something? Anyways, I forget which one it was, but we made fun of like Superman's mustache and just shit all over Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, we literally put that in there like intentionally.
So they would be like,
they'll be like, lose the mustache, and then they were like, no, fuck you guys, we're not running this at all. Also.
Also, an executive saw the video. Or something.
It was like a big problem. And I was like, no, it's fine. We'll get rid of the mustache.
Yeah, it's fine. We gave that to you so that you would say no.
Just forget about it. You guys clearly have a very anti-Warner Brothers bias deep in your hearts. And you will not be coming anywhere near our precious Warner Brothers IPs anytime soon.
Yeah.
Buster.
By the way, beloved IP that everyone agrees is the greatest thing on earth.
Yeah, we're going to be laughing all the way to the bank when Suicide Squad comes out and everyone loves it.
Anyways, that kind of leads into the next story because we're going to end today's episode with yet another cautionary tale in the world of mergers and acquisitions, because Polygon was just acquired by a content farm company that has been described as a clickbait factory with little to no concern about the quality of the content that's being released on its platforms.
That sucks.
Yeah, and it's already left a few examples behind that you can point to and say, well, certainly, I hope that doesn't happen to Polygon, but it probably will. So if you are interested in seeing what the future of Polygon looks like, this acquisition by a company called Valnet has already resulted in layoffs as the parent company looks to trim the fat. And first, here's the news release about the Polygon acquisition. Valnet, a leading global digital publishing and media investment company, announced today that it has acquired the premium gaming publication Polygon from Vox Media. Perfectly aligned with Valnet's long-term growth strategy, Polygon will now integrate Valnet's gaming portfolio, which includes industry-leading publications such as Game Rant, The Gamer, Fextra Life, OpenCritic, DualShockers, and Hardcore Gamer.
Damn.
Yeah.
But it's not just games media that this company is after, it's all media. And the acquisition of multiple sites and organizations in recent years has undoubtedly had an effect on the quality of their output. Mm-hmm. This was put on full display recently when The Wrap ran an article about Valnet a few days before the Polygon acquisition was announced, and their article focused more on the movie news and review sites that they now own, sites like Collider, a place a lot of people we know used to work at, and how things have played out behind the scenes. Here's from their reporting. The founder and CEO of Valnet, Hassan Youssef, based in Montreal, owns Screen Rant, Collider, MovieWeb, and the comic book news site CBR, which according to the company collectively drives 260 million page views every month. In the past decade, Valnet has scooped up most of the independently owned fan-facing news sites and is constantly seeking to acquire more, regularly sending pitch emails to independent content owners to buy them out and add traffic to its online juggernaut.
But there's a wrinkle in this story of a bootstrapping entrepreneur. When Valnet takes over a fan site, the playbook is well established. Employees are replaced by contractors, compensation plummets, and writers who complain land on a blacklist that blocks them from working for Valnet sites altogether. Yeah. That's a tale as old as time.
Damn.
And definitely not unique to these online spaces, which at one point probably generated tens of millions of additional dollars for major entertainment brands through commentary, analysis, reviews, and discussion. There was a whole fucking industry that was powering a lot of, and in a lot of cases, free for them, marketing for movie studios, comic books, video games, everything entertainment.
And really not costing all that much.
Compared to traditional marketing, fucking zero.
Like the kind of thing where once you take, if you didn't have a bunch of executives at the top demanding like returns for them doing absolutely fucking nothing, like it would not be especially difficult to keep these companies afloat.
No.
I feel especially like Collider, out of all these, like most companies, they get like one acquisition and then they die out. A Collider, I feel like, has been acquired like 3 or 4 times. It's just gotten the shit kicked out of it for the last like 7 years.
They went to Complex and then got bought by like a Bitcoin guy.
Yeah.
That might have been the same thing.
And then they got sold again. And
maybe the Bitcoin guy bought Complex and that. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, it was.
They've been passed around a lot.
They got, passed around.
Now, these sites are seeming more and more like just dusty content farms with little to no brand loyalty, because why would there be?
Yeah, I mean, like...
This is a tale that has been learned, or a lesson that's been learned by these... well, not learned, but there's been examples of this. Machinima was a great example. The brands mean nothing. The creators are what brought the viewers in.
People love Machinima. No, they
like
fucking
watching CNers.
They don't give a fuck about Machinima.
Yeah.
God.
So the report continues, adding that they spoke to current and former contributors to Valnet brands who say that Valnet routinely exploits and discards writers while prioritizing mass quantity over quality to churn out mind-numbing SEO bait. Quote, everyone is underpaid, overworked, and really pretty extremely exploited, a former Collider contributor told The Wrap. They're a company without clear objectives or morals who present themselves as a safe haven for young and experienced writers, but they end up paying bargain basement rates and forcing contractors to create junky clickbait, a former Valnet contributor told The Wrap on condition of anonymity out of fear of retaliation.
The article also goes on to say that at least one ex-contractor has filed a lawsuit against the company. They even exposed the fact that Valnet had a journalist blacklist of people who were difficult to work with. And when The Wrap reached out to confirm the validity of the blacklist, people within Valnet accidentally CC'd The Wrap on an internal response that stated, our documents are being leaked. Okay, we can confirm that. Thank you.
Always seemingly top men behind all of these institutions, whether it's the federal government or your local media site.
I'm so disappointed. I expected all the slop farms to have better info security. Anyway, there's a lot more information there, including the backstory of how the owners first found success, which was launching the porn site Brazzers.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the Brazzers, guys. It's a fascinating read, but also very upsetting for anyone who previously enjoyed the reporting or content from any number of recently acquired media brands.
Yeah.
Polygon one, that like stings even more than the others, I think, because they were like, at least back when I used to read them, they were doing pretty, like, actual journalism.
And there's just
like,
not that much games journalism happening now, whatever you want to call it. The one that I can recommend is Aftermath, which is the people that were left over from when Kotaku was essentially gutted.
Yeah, and then, what's the dude at the Washington Post? Is he even still at the Washington Post?
I don't know, that happens to change every so often.
But he was doing pretty good.
Yeah. Like the Washington Post has like a games thing that's going to pick up on stuff when it bubbles to that level, but there's a lot of shit that goes on, or that used to go on, just like people always overlooked. Like, for example, like a game company where they never were able to quantify the value of people just exposing their game to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, whether it was playing the game on a stream or reporting about the most fucking inconsequential bullshit relating to the gaming industry. And that goes all the way up to the movie industry and other forms of entertainment. They were taking a fucking very low cost ride for a long time. And the dwindling sales might have something to do with that.
No, it's all YouTubers now.
True. Yeah. Anyways.
Everything's YouTuber.
Everything's YouTube. Everything's computer. And if you want to be computer, you can click the join button. That helps us out monetarily, but if you just want to say thank you, please click the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment about anything we talked about today or whatever is going on with you. And we will, of course, be back with another episode of Weekly Weird News coming right up. But in the meantime, if you missed anything this week, we have videos popping up right over there. Check those out. Please like the video, leave a comment, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.